All right, I want tacos, but we've been eating a lot of meat lately, and we don't usually eat that much meat. So I'm feeling like dodging the meat thing, which is what I always go for with tacos. But instead, I'm gonna do a vegetarian version, something that I've made a few times. And I guess the key to making some vegetarian tacos, and this is far outside of anything, traditional or authentic or whatever. I don't claim to be an emissary of the traditional taco or anything. This is just me fucking around. I'm gonna do some roasted vegetables. I think I'm gonna do cauliflower, and I might deep fry some Brussels sprouts. Because the thing with vegetable tacos is like usually they're really lean. You want to get a bunch of fat in there, honestly. So, because the tortilla doesn't have any fat in it, you need something to kind of lubricate the situation. The other thing I want to get into it is a salsa that has some heat, but also maybe a little extra heft to it to make the taco a little more satisfying. So I'm gonna make a salsa matcha, and I'm gonna use the one out of this book No Polito, which is a cookbook from a San Francisco restaurant that I've never eaten at, but I really dig this cookbook. I've made a lot of things out of it, and I really like this salsa matcha recipe. Normally salsa matcha has peanuts in it, but this uses sunflower seeds. So we're gonna get the sunflower seeds and some chilies. Got my giant bag of chilies. And this is going to be a really spicy salsa. So it's going to use a bunch of chilies de arbol, which are the most spicy, usually, of the chilies, the dried chilies you use. They also have a nice flavor, but I mean, it's a lot of heat. I'm going to use like that many. I don't know, what is that, 8, 9? That's a lot for me. And then another chili just for flavor. Hopefully like an ancho. I'm looking in my bag here. The recipe calls for an ancho. The recipe calls for 12 chilies de arbol, but I'm gonna chill on that and not go crazy. All right, there's an ancho or ancho. I don't know. My pronunciation's probably terrible. And we're going to get the seeds out of these before we toast them in the oven, so you don't have to deal with them later. Just split all these open. And it would be smart to wear some gloves, because the seeds inside of this are like, powerfully spicy. Oh, excuse me. Sarah has an apple pie in here, and I'm supposed to pull it out at the right time. I think it needs a little more time. But yeah, you don't really want to get this stuff on your fingers, because then if you're not careful, it's gonna go in your eyes or anywhere else. I could tell you funny stories. But I'm gonna try to just minimize my contact with the seeds. Let me get the pan out. I did put another 5 minutes on, right? Yeah. Cool. I say I'm gonna minimize my contact with the seeds, but they'll basically come out. We're gonna soak them in boiling water after they've toasted, and there usually won't be any stuck to them when you pull them out. This one's a little softer, and sometimes you can pull the whole seed pod out. Depends on how old the chili is, I guess. These seeds aren't hot. This chili is just for some sweetness. It's almost like a chili flavored raisin. It's got some of that earthy sweet flavor. And then a quarter cup of pumpkin seeds. They're just gonna, like that. They're gonna go into a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. Although I'm gonna check on the chilies and make sure they're not getting too crispy. Let's see, rid myself of these seeds. I mean, soap and water, if you get that stuff all over your hands, doesn't really help. Once you get your hands wet, if you've gotten all that capsaicin all over your hands, like, you just start spreading it everywhere. So I'm probably just spreading fiery hot stuff all over my kitchen right now. Boom, boom. Back in here. All right, so we're also gonna need some olive oil, some garlic, some distilled vinegar. I have recently come around to the good old-fashioned distilled vinegar, which I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, it being around mainly for what, dyeing Easter eggs and cleaning up messes. But it's when you want just acidity without much of anything else in the way of flavor, it's really got a crazy punch. It can taste really good, and this salsa is gonna have all kinds of flavor just from the other things going on in it. We're also gonna need some Mexican oregano, and let me look at my book here. Yeah. Kind of doing this a little early because the chilies are gonna have to soak in boiling water for 20 minutes before they can be pureed into a paste. But I'll just go ahead and get set up for it. I'm gonna bust out my blender. For this particular recipe, I feel like the blender is a real convenience. You could mash it up in a molcajete, or you could use a food processor, but since there's an emulsifying thing that happens with the oil later, the blender is nice. Let's check on that. All right, I'm gonna come back to this. All right, so these are the chilies and the sunflower seeds, and I've boiled this water. Grab a bowl and shuttle this stuff. It's hot. Yes, the pan is hot. I know I'm an idiot. You just want to cover the chilies with boiling or super hot water. Even super hot tap water can get the job done, and leave it for like 20 minutes to soften up. And while that's happening, we can leave these here for the moment. I think the next thing to do might be tortillas. No, actually, let's do the filling. At least get the roasted vegetables going. Oh yeah, and so I mentioned that I like, fat in tacos because a dry taco is just not very tasty. Definitely gonna pull out got a couple of ripe avocados. I'm gonna use those to pat it out as well. I always feel weird about cauliflower washing. Feels like a sanitation theater. Like, am I really doing something here? I never encounter any dirt or anything. And then you're kind of left with a soggy head of cauliflower. But so the other thing about this taco is I have like a crazy craving and lust for like cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower and Brussels sprouts being like super caramelized. There's something about it to me, I feel that craving more often than I feel the craving for like steak or something. It just has such a satisfying savory vibe. I don't know, I need it tonight. So I'm just gonna chop the stem out and waste it, and then pull apart the florets by hand and use a pretty big pan, like maybe even this, because we want to just get rid of all the water in here and not do any steaming. And I'm not going to bother with a mixing bowl to get oil on these things. I'm just going to do it on the pan because I'm going to use a lot of olive oil. And small pieces are good. The way that this is going to cook in a high temperature oven, I'm gonna cook it at 450. You might find in your oven the 450 is a little too high, but that's like the sweet spot for me in my oven. But I'm gonna basically just cook the holy hell out of it at a really high temperature with plenty of oil, and it's gonna turn super browned and a little bit charred at the edges. And it's going to be crispy. The small pieces, especially the florets, turn into almost like little bursts of cauliflower. And that's going to be really nice inside of a tortilla. Just go willy-nilly with it. Willy-nilly. This is a lot of cauliflower. Might be too much for taco filling duty. It will shrink down a lot though. You'll end up with a lot less in the pan after it cooks. Again, I like those little bits. One thing that's going to be embarrassing about sharing cooking for me is that I don't compost, and I feel shame about that. I've never composted, and I haven't actually figured out even what I'd do with it. I guess this year we started having a family garden in the summer, and if I started composting now, maybe I would have a bunch of free fertilizer for our garden. I need to look into that. Maybe you guys can tell me something about it, because I don't know. First person I ever knew who composted was my grandfather, and I used to be just so revolted by this spinning barrel of trash in his backyard. I thought it was so gross, but I get that it's a very good way to use food scraps to grow more food. I should do it. All right, that's a ton of cauliflower, but I don't know. I have like a thing for this kind of cauliflower. I could just stand here and eat it. Sometimes I have a little canola oil in the fridge that I've cooked with chilies that I like to use for this, but I don't have any of that on hand right now. So I'm just gonna use a pretty liberal amount of olive oil. Something I've learned recently about roasting vegetables is that most of the browning happens at the sides of the pan. Like things that are in the center of the pan tend not to brown. And we want brown explosion. Now I'm also going to season it pretty heavily because, you know, you're not going to have salt in your tortillas. Plus, I feel like when you salt the roasted vegetables well before they go in, they draw more moisture out and you get to that brown place. The brown place. Seriously, I mean like a stupid amount of olive oil. There you go. Oh, and I have not gotten my oven up to the temperature I want. We were baking that pie. I'm gonna use this power preheat thing and it'll come up really quickly. All right, that's in there. No, I mean, I don't advise like not putting your food in a hot oven or putting it in when it's not hot enough, but for our purposes, it will work. Who knows, maybe it'll be awesome, better. Sometimes like you do something differently in the kitchen by accident and it turns out really good. All right, I'm trying to conserve my battery. This is my first time ever using a GoPro and it goes through a ton of battery, so I'm gonna skip a little bit of this cleanup and we'll move on to the next part. All right. Wait, do I hear? Yeah, someone's coming home, but that's all right. I'm gonna turn this light on for maybe better light. The next thing to do is we're gonna make some tortillas. Maybe pull out the Brussels sprouts too. I'm a little absent-minded, as you can see. This is instant masa harina. I got obsessed for a while with the idea of making tortillas from nixtamalized field corn that you boil at home and stuff, but man, that is really hard to do when you don't have a good grinder. So I'm back to making tortillas with masa harina, which are totally good and way, way better than the stuff you get at the store, unless you live in a town where you can get like fresh tortillas made today. Especially for corn tortillas. Corn tortillas just lose it. But I do love that nixtamalized tortilla flavor, the sort of corn chip flavor. My wife Sarah and I went to Mexico City a couple times in the last several years, and you know, we grew up in Texas with all the Tex-Mex stuff, which is great, but I'm gonna put a little salt in this actually. It's great, but you know, a taco is like the ground beef in a crispy shell that you get on a combo plate or whatever. So the whole idea of soft corn tacos was really fun to get into, and yeah, again, this is just me goofing around with tacos. This is nobody's idea of the real thing. I'm gonna use hot water. This is easier to mix. And the general ratio on the package, which is like 2 cups of flour or 2 cups of masa harina to 1.5 cups of water, is good. But you know, you're still gonna have to like feel it out to get the right consistency. And of course, I've used the wrong hand here. Hey, soccer player, how'd it go?
Good.
Good? Yeah, was it fun?
Well, yes.
What am I making? Can you tell?
Pie.
Apple pie? No, Mom made apple pie. I'm making tortillas.
Tortillas.
Yeah. You smell sweaty.
I can see what you're doing on your phone.
Yeah. Is that weird?
Yeah. So, the kid kicked me, but like the foot from the other kid.
He kicked you? Good thing you were wearing your shin guards, right?
It was above the shin guard.
Oh, are you okay? I'm sorry. I'm sure it was an accident, right?
Yeah, he was trying to get the ball.
Because you had the ball?
Well, no, because Jack had the ball, and he was going straight for the goal, so he wanted to get it, but I was going away trying to help him, but
Yeah. So the consistency you're looking for the dough is one in which you can roll a ball of it and squish it and not get like, you know, big cracks in the side. You want it basically as wet as you can get it and get away with. And I'm gonna use, well, this tortilla press, and it's a little dusty, and some Ziploc bags as sort of what would you call them, non-slip mats, I guess. Otherwise you can't really put masa directly on a tortilla press, it'll just stick. So I'm gonna get 2 squares. Or rectangles, depending on how bad my spatial skills are that day. And I don't know, I might have gone a little too far with the water. I won't know until I test it out. And oops, dang, I just knocked my camera into the counter. Okay, the trash is terrible. I'm gonna get my griddle out. You could also use a cast iron skillet or just a regular heavy bottom pan. And some people, you know, use like a cold zone and not a cold zone, but like a hot zone and a medium hot zone. I've been having luck lately just having a nice hot griddle. All right, we'll test and see how this is rolling, and we're not ready to put it on the griddle because it's got to warm up. It's kind of a small one, but so you know, you lay it down on the first one, and if you bring it a little bit closer to the handle, you'll actually get a more circular shape. Oh, you know what? Haha. It's actually the other side. So welcome to my expert talk here. Yeah, let's try it again. I can smell the cauliflower in there. So yeah, instead of near the handle, we're gonna do the other side. And if you can pull it off without losing the edge, then you're in good shape. I'm gonna just put this back in here and cover it up real quick until the griddle's ready. The only reason I'm covering it up is I don't want it to lose water and dry out. In the meantime, I think the chilies are probably ready. I'm gonna save a little bit of the water because that's gonna help blend the chilies. A little bit of water helps them catch the blades. And I might as well actually throw in the 2 cloves of garlic and maybe a tablespoon of Mexican oregano and a couple tablespoons of distilled white vinegar. You'll taste it at the end to make sure that it's, you know, seasoned and has a nice puckery edge. It's gonna need more salt than that. All right. So I'm looking over here, make sure yeah. Hey, baby. Oh, I don't have a... want this guy. Just gonna kind of try to coax. Oof, boy, that's strong. All right, like the vinegar and the heat just come out right up your nose. All right, I'm gonna add the sunflower seeds. Maybe a couple of these chili seeds accidentally. And turn it on first because it's gonna splatter up. I'm gonna drizzle in about 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm covering the hole because it's definitely splashing up at me. Ah! I think it needs more water actually. Just use the chili soaking water. I'm gonna give it a taste. You can see that it's, you know, an emulsified sauce. Ooh. Whoo! Yeah, that's got some heat. But it's also kind of sweet. Needs a little bit more salt and a little bit more acidity. Something I didn't recognize or learn until maybe a year or two ago is that acidity balances heat. So if something's really, really hot, you can tone it down by adding some acid. Like there's this awesome habanero salsa recipe in this same Nopalito book. that uses a bunch of lime juice to basically turn habaneros into like a pico de gallo. It's like something you eat a ton of habaneros when you eat the salsa, but because there's so much lime juice and orange juice, you can tolerate it, and it's like the flavor of habanero is so fruity and good. It's a really awesome salsa. I really do like that book a lot. Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right, the griddle's probably hot now. I definitely need a drink of water though. We'll peek in at the cauliflower. So you can see that in the middle it's getting like kind of scorched. I might turn it down slightly, but we're good. Set this over here. Right. Let's try some tortillas. I have this tortilla warmer, and it's really corny. Has yeah, I don't know, but it does a great job. It'll keep your tortillas warm for like an hour, so you can make your tortillas before you make your filling. So you just take like a ping pong ball size. I mean, you can make bigger ones, but smaller than a golf ball. Kind of roll it around, squish it down in the bottom a little bit, cover on top, press it, and put it on the grill. You kind of just let it go. And with this griddle, I can make 3 tortillas at a time, so I can get through these in maybe 15 minutes. I mean, I guess it's not very fast, but it's faster than it used to be when I first started making tortillas. You can see the steam coming off now, and that means it's like almost ready to flip. The edge will eventually curl up a little bit, which will allow you to grab it. Then you turn it over. I just move it to the next spot on the griddle. It's like a little factory line. Then I replace that one, and I do the next one. I've, used a bunch of different people's recipes for making tortillas, and some people prescribe all kinds of like methods of when you should turn tortillas. I basically have settled on just turning them a lot. Seems to be best. Oop, that one's not quite ready to turn, maybe. If you're really like doing a good job, they puff up about now, but they're not. I think the heat is not quite there. I'll turn up the griddle, try to get them to balloon. I mean, if you really want to learn to make tortillas, you should probably find other YouTube videos to watch, because there are people out there who make tortillas every single day and they're amazing at it. This is just me geeking out, enjoying it. It's an enjoyable process. I feel like I wouldn't mind having a job where I just made tortillas all day. That sounds pretty appealing. One of the big differences between making these with the masa harina versus the nixtamalized field corn, which you can also get in bags at the carniceria or the supermercado or whatever, depending on where you live. Like in Oklahoma, I can get stuff that's been ground in Fort Worth, and it's good. And then you can just bring it home and press it out. But one of the big differences is like these come out kind of hard at first, and then when they sit with their neighbors for a while in the bag steaming, they soften up more. I do wish that this were hotter. It's going pretty slow. I don't think I'm going to do much better with that one. Might get a little more color, but you can see that it's kind of drying out. If you get it hotter, you can go through the process faster and it won't dry out. Let's take a look in here. I feel like it's starting to get a little bit hotter. You can see it puffing a bit. These will still be fine though. I forgot to, flatten that one out first so it didn't get very round. If you want it round, you gotta make a ball and then flatten it in your hand. That one's getting kind of dried out. All right, I might cut off the video here. If it's not going to start puffing and making me look like a better tortilla maker, then I'll just skip to the next part. You've seen how this is going. It's going to be good. All right, next thing. All right, I've got my offset spatula here because I just keep mangling these with my fingertips, and I might as well do it just total lame ass style. No shame. That one looks alright. But we're gonna check on the, actually I need to throw this one back on here. We're gonna check on the, or not check on, but flip the cauliflower, because it's looking like maybe it's time for that. There should be a lot of browning at this point underneath. Well, I just dirtied my spatula. Oh well. You can sort of tell if you don't have enough oil left here, if it's all gotten soaked in and you need to add a little bit more. I think I thoroughly doused the cauliflower, so it ought to be able to brown still. I'm just gonna throw it back in there for like another 10 minutes. That one's done. When they do puff, they're done for sure. This is one of those things that's fun to do if you invite people over to your house. You can kind of make some dough, and then, you know, anybody who wants to give it a shot can stand here and make some tortillas. That can be fun. All right, you've seen enough tortilla making. All right, it's time to pull the cauliflower out. All these little pieces that are super browned are gonna be crispy and lovely. I'm gonna set that to the side, and I might throw it in the oven to warm it up right before we eat. And now I'm going to do the Brussels sprouts. I'm gonna use a pan with a lid. If you've never had deep fried Brussels sprouts before, you are missing out. It's like just the best way to have Brussels sprouts. They turn out French fry, crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. And they take a lot of flavoring. I'm gonna use canola oil. I don't know what that's for. Oh, that was yesterday's thing. This is some canola oil I already used for deep frying. And you don't need like a ton of oil, maybe an inch and a half. I feel like I would like just a little bit more than that. Alright, I'm gonna put the lid on it while it's heating up, and that's gonna help it heat the oil up more quickly. But also, when you put the Brussels sprouts in the oil, you're gonna want that lid, or at least some kind of splatter guard, to keep it from popping you and making a big mess on your stovetop, because Brussels sprouts do have water in them, and when water hits oil, has a little problem. These are just Brussels sprouts from the local grocery store in Norman, Oklahoma. My kids like Brussels sprouts, especially done this way, so I'm gonna make a good amount. Oops, dropped one.
Well, that's okay, 'cause if you drop one,
10-second rule. Or it's 5-second rule, huh?
that's not too bad, but you still have the rest of the Brussels sprouts that come from your garden. You really want to keep it like.
They're more special if they come from your garden than if you get them from the grocery store.
Yeah,
That's
the
probably
grocery
true.
store ones are older than the ones you just picked from your garden.
I would be more mad about losing my Brussels sprouts from the garden, that's for sure. All right, so you definitely want to get the Brussels sprouts as dry as you can before you toss them in the oil. It's okay, baby. Hold on, Daddy's cooking. Daddy's cooking. I'm trying to make you some dinner. Hi. What do you need? You want to see the Brussels sprouts? Here they are. We're trying to dry them off.
I'm gonna make your video with your son.
Well, I can't cut the Brussels sprouts with him in my arms, but I can move them over to Brussels sprouts. And avocado. Do you like avocado? I know you do. Uh-huh. Yeah, my glasses. All right, I have to cut the Brussels sprouts. Mwah. Yeah. So you're just gonna cut them in half. Sometimes there's a little too much stem.
Address is 602.
That one was. Do you need a snack, baby?
Are you saying about this stuff?
What's that?
Do you still have the screen on?
I do, yeah.
And can people hear you?
Nobody can hear me because I haven't posted the video. I'm just recording this. I don't know if I'll post it. All right. Can I give him a banana or something? Okay. I'm gonna check on the.
I'm gonna press the one for
Hold on. I'm gonna check on the oil.
the one for the tortillas.
What do you mean? It's the same one. Yeah. So I'm trying to get it up to 350. And then when they come out, I like to put some paper towels in the bottom of a bowl that I can then use to sauce the Brussels sprouts, because I like to add fish sauce and honey and maybe some lime juice if it seems like it would like that. So I'll just pull the fried Brussels sprouts out onto the paper towels and then we'll dump them into the bowl after the fact. But right now we're waiting for the oil to come up, so we'll just turn the camera off and try to save some battery. All right, so the oil is up to temperature, maybe a little bit over. That's okay. I also decided that I wanted to do some fried shallots because having a little allium in the mix makes vegetables satisfying, and it's also like really crisp and nice. This is gonna cook like so freaking fast in this hot oil. I wonder if I should get the temperature down first. Let's see. It's probably up to like. If it's too hot, it'll boil over, but I've got a good leeway here, so I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna get paper towel and plate. Just moving them around kind of encourages them to cook evenly. I'm reusing some oil, and I can smell that the last thing I made with it was falafel. So it's got some falafel smell going on, which is actually kind of nice.
Dude, this house is $22,000. Very expensive. Is $22,000 very expensive
For what?
for a house?
No, that's really cheap. Houses are very expensive.
This house is about 1,800 square feet, so it's so small.
I don't know. That sounds pretty good.
Well, it's about 1,300 square feet, maybe.
But for the price, I think there'd be a lot of people who'd want that. All right. Theo's playing Stardew Valley on the computer, and he's really into talking about how much things are worth. All right, that's looking good. You don't want to do it too dark because they're going to end up being bitter if you take them too far, which is usually the mistake I'm making over and over and over again. And I'm going to give them a bit of salt. I'll try to spread them out so that as they dry, they get crispier. All right. And now I'm gonna do the Brussels sprouts. Should really, yeah, we lost a little bit of temperature, so I'm gonna turn it back up. And I'm gonna try to get these little bits of shallot out, but they're probably not going to come out anyway. All right. I've got this spider, I guess is what people call these things, and I'm going to use it kind of like a deep fry basket. I'm just going to lower the whole batch, and I'm going to do this in 2 batches and crowd the pan, and it's still going to be good. That's when you use your cover. It'll pop for a little bit. This Le Creuset, a friend of mine got at a garage sale and gave to me years ago, and I use it all the time. It's one of my main vessels for baking bread, but I also use it for things like this. I'm sure he paid like $5 for it. It's amazing. I turned the heat up. This is not my most powerful burner. I'm gonna eat one of these. When I'm deep frying, I feel a strong need to drink a beer. This is not an endorsement of a beer. I've never had this. An Oklahoma City brewery, which I have had their beer before, called Vanessa House. But I've not had this particular beer. I'm gonna split it with Sarah. There we go. Good. I'll try the shallot. Now they're crispy. They're like those, you know, French's fried onions, basically. But they have the shallot aftertaste just lingers in a way that onions don't. I'm gonna turn on my vent. I don't know why I didn't have that going. You can see that it's starting to brown pretty well, but we want it to be like really aggressively browned. I probably dropped the temperature of the oil too much by putting too many in, but it'll still be good. Got some cilantro that I'm gonna put on the tacos, and the salsa matcha, and then I'll probably only use one of these, but maybe two because the baby really likes avocados. We're almost there now, you can see. I like to try to keep some of the bright green. If you cook it too low temperature, that fades. But it's mostly an aesthetic preference. Alright, that's looking good. I'm gonna season them fresh out with maybe half of what I would like to eventually get into them, because I am gonna add fish sauce here in a little bit. And that's gonna increase the salt. Alright, let's do round two. Alright, round two. Alright, I'm gonna finish these, and then when I get them all in the bowl, I'll turn the camera back on and season them. I just don't want to run out of battery. Alright. These are done. I'm gonna turn the fire off. Oh, I forgot to get a little extra layer of paper towels. These look really crispy. Like, look at that. It's great. And then season these a little bit, like I did the first batch. And then I'm just gonna pull the paper towel. That's hot. Watch out, baby. Right now I'm gonna Now this might sound weird to some people, but a little bit of fish sauce with the Brussels sprouts just makes the whole thing so much more savory when it's meatless. I need a spoon. This bowl is really hot now. Fish sauce and then, you know, because the Brussels sprouts are a little bit bitter, I like to balance it out with a little bit of honey. And a squeeze of lime. I'm gonna taste one of these. Or two. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right, now I put the cauliflower back in the oven just to keep it hot. I'm gonna pull that out now. And I'm just gonna dump all of it. Hey baby, cleaning? There's a lot going on in my house right now. Again, those brown little bits are super crispy, and that's really fun in a taco. Is it still hot? No. And then I'm gonna add some cilantro. And this is gonna be our filling. I'm hungry. Crispy bits. Alright, I'll turn off my hood vent. I bet they look really good. Now I'm gonna serve it up. So, take one of my tortillas and a couple of slices of avocado and a scoop of the filling, and then crispy shallots, maybe just for looks, a couple more cilantro leaves, and this very hot salsa matcha, and a squeeze of lime. And this is pretty much vegan except for the fish sauce. You could leave the fish sauce out. Oh, that's really good. All right, how's that?